Yeah, sorry about that. Hit the wrong button there on the phone. So this is out of a later 60s car. We had to do that because ones from the mid 50s, the relays that they used were kind of super high voltage and they weren't very reliable. So we were able to redesign a parts radio chassis with this. So the front end is all stock 57. We had to kind of build this plate to mount the tuning knobs. And the later 61s, these are kind of free standing outside here. So we put this plate in, but we kept the Wonder Bar, the buttons, the dial face, all of that still looks, I think it's a 57 or 58 maybe. Anyway, so you've got a switch mechanism here that kind of engages your solenoid switch, which is down here. This is there's a weighted flywheel and a gear in here. You can kind of see there's a little tiny, I don't know if I can zoom in there. There's a little tiny arm in there, and I want you guys to focus on that. And then there's this giant solenoid here. It's just 12 volts in the ground, and what basically happens is, you can kind of see, so there's the needle. Maybe you can see it. Doing this one-handed. So when we ground out the solenoid, so you can kind of see that arm kind of kick out, and the flywheel, the counterweight in there, starts to spin, and the tuning shaft, right now it has this giant gear on here that with a big spring that pulls it so that the needle can then search down the tuner bar. Okay, and then when we get towards the end of the dial scale, this little guy right here will switch the solenoid. The big solenoid down here will engage, and then reset the needle so that it starts scanning again. And we'll do this another couple times here. And we haven't cleaned it 100%. The first thing we always do is just get it to work. A little bit of greasing and taking apart and stuff like that. Now what you're supposed to be doing here, right, is that when you're in the car, okay, you press on the Wonder Bar switch, okay, and then the Wonder Bar switch here, right, that makes the ground that I'm doing, but you kind of get the idea. Once again, we're getting ready to wire up here now that everything kind of works. And then as this thing moves along, the dial scale, as it seeks, when it finds a station, the radio, the FMR, basically takes this ground away, okay, when it detects the station. And then that's kind of how you get the video. Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock, how it locks onto the station. So I just wanted to kind of show folks that, because I get a lot of questions on the Wonder Bar that folks don't know if they want to do this or not, because they were horrible when they were built as far as the audio circuitry and stuff. This is pretty good here. Anything from the late 60s, early to late 60s is all good. I buy these all the time as parts radios just for these mechanisms right here. We've already ran this on the bench with our test unit. So just a little bit more about the radio. So here's the tuner, and you can kind of see the needle there moving around right here, right? Here's the tuner tuning that around, okay? And then in between here, this is your fader, resistor network for your fader, and there's your volume. This has a tone switch, so basically you've just got the high, medium, and low tones. This is not a rheostat. And this down in here, this guy, that's your antenna. Up, down, you push pull your tuner knob in, and I think I could probably do one way here. You can kind of hear that thing click over. That passes voltage to either go up or down. And the other big thing too, so these belts were were like leather with infused with rubber throughout various parts of the year. They dry out, crack, get brittle, because when the radio stops working, you don't move the tuner knob, and then basically all of this stuff stays frozen, and then the minute you turn it, the belt breaks. So we have had some luck with round rubber belts, some square belts. When you have the metal gears, it seems that you need more attention. The later 60s and 70s with the plastic flywheels or pulleys here, you can kind of go with a square belt. So I'll probably, when I get done with the radio and do the final build, I'll probably put a link of what I'm using here, so that, you know, if you have a radio that needs a new belt, you'll be able to use it. And, you know, this will need to be serviced probably once every 3 years for a new belt. They're easy to change. You probably could do it in the car if you were nimble enough to do it. But, you know, if you're like me, if you're in the car, the radio is on, so it'll get a lot of use. And we'll definitely, we always include a spare belt as well. Yep, that's kind of it. People ask the question, you know, how does it work? Maybe we'll give you a little farther out view here. And there's also another switch here that says more stations, and that also is basically a resistor network of, you know, more stations. That's basically there's zero resistance on the switch, it's open, and then in the middle we put a 5.6K resistor in, which you can kind of see that guy there. And then for like the most local, highest nearest stations, so we go this way, and that's actually a ground. And you can just flip that, and like for our area, so when we're on the closest stations, we get about 10 or 8 maybe, and then when we go to full any station at all, we get about 16. So, you know, we do pretty good with all that. So anyway, and what Hacker decided to do with this radio, this is an FMR aux. The USB board is already, the USB board is already mounted. They didn't want to do the Bluetooth this time with this radio. Not a big deal. But anyway, that's just a short video for the folks. I'll probably put this on my personal page as well, just so that, you know, I have a lot of car buddies that one, it interests them, and two, this is any GM Wonder Bar. A lot of, and don't hate me for my Chrysler friends, but most of the Chrysler Wonder Bars, they were all GM built Wonder Bars as well. Ford Town and Countries didn't use a belt; they actually used a motor with a gear drive, which to me is probably the best. I mean, it really can't wear out. But anyway, thought you might like that. At least now you know how a Wonder Bar works, some of the pieces that go with it. And we get some zooms in there. We've already got some grease moving on some of this. Need to get the cotton swab out, clean a little bit more. Some more machine oil going in there. Typically the where the counterweight is, and here we'll typically we put a lot of machine oil in that guy there. This had a myriad of wires coming off of it to do all different things as far as engagement. But the FMR is super smart. It just needs power and needs a ground, and everything else is pretty easy. That's it for now. Bye.